Since the early 1970s, the Juno Awards have taken place each year to celebrate Canada's top musical artists. In this new series that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going through some of Canada's award winners and maybe even some of the award losers. So stick around, watch the series, and see what Canada has to offer. Hello everyone, Daryl the Northern Vinyl Guy coming at you with a new series in which I'd like to feature some Canadian musicians that have won Juno Awards. So in the United States it's the Grammys, in Canada we have the Junos, and I would like to feature some of Canada's top artists over the years. In this video I'm going to be focusing on the 1970s, some male and female winners, but in future videos I may cover some of the losing artists, and some of those might be surprising considering how big of artists they are. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. But before I do, if you are new to my channel, please click that subscribe button. If you enjoy what I have to say, or you'd just like to make a comment, do so down below, and I'd love to have you on board. Leave me a thumbs up. And of course, as always, if you are watching my videos regularly, I do appreciate the support. And so here we go. What does Canada have to offer? So first up, he's not the first male musician to win a Juno Award. However, he's the first to win from the early 1970s. So late 1960s, early 1970s, Joey Gregorash won the very first Canadian Juno Award. But by 1970 and 1971, it was becoming more and more popular. And one of the main artists that had won an award was Andy Kim. Now, Andy Kim, out of the province of Quebec, he was born from Lebanese parents. It's actually not his real name. His last name, I forget what it is. But it is of Arabic nature. Now, he didn't win for this album here, which is from a few years later. I forget what year this one is. 1973, I do believe. But this is Andy Kim. Self-titled, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah. Yes, this is a self-titled album. Anyway, he didn't win it this particular year. So I think it was 1970, 1971 that he won his Juno Award. And it was for the song Rock Me Gently, which was quite famous here in Canada, all over the airwaves. I remember my dad played it when I was a kid, but back in the early 70s, definitely a popular song. And of course, Andy Kim was one of, I believe, the writers of Sugar Sugar by the Archies, and he did feature in part of it. So he was, famous before he won his Juno Award as part of the Archies. And so yeah, I'd like to feature Andy Kim. Now, the 1970s was basically dominated by 2 or 3 male musicians, and definitely 2 female musicians. Gordon Lightfoot being one of those. Now, he didn't win for this particular album, I don't think. I'm using this kind of as a placeholder, but he did win, I think it was 3 years in a row throughout the 1970s. Gordon Lightfoot, Canada's songwriting folk hero, so to speak. Consider him maybe the Bob Dylan of Canada, though with definitely a softer tone. He wrote all kinds of historical themed songs, Canadian geography themed songs, For example, on this one, Black Day in July, this one actually is about the Motor City Madness in Detroit, Michigan. But there are, The Last Time I Saw Her, Does Your Mother Know? He did Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is not on this album. Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, of course, about the ship that was sailing in the 1970s in Lake Superior, sunk, and all the members of the ship went down with it. He's got all kinds of other songs about Canada and northern United States. So yeah, Gordon Lightfoot winning Artist of the Year for multiple years in a row in Canada. Now, towards the mid to late 1970s, we're going to have a couple of big names in the Canadian music industry for men. And this next one that I'm going to feature is perhaps one of my favorite Canadian artists. One of the only ones that I've pretty much completed his entire discography on vinyl. And that is Gino Vanelli, winning in, I think it was, 1976, for Gist of the Gemini and a few other albums that had come out, known for, Power People and not Brothers in Arms. What's the name? Brother to Brother. That's the one. Brother to Brother. And he has, Storm at Sunup is another one from the 1970s. But yeah, he kind of broke that cycle of Gordon Lightfoot being in charge, so to speak, of the Juno Awards in the 1970s. This one here doesn't have any necessarily like huge hits on it, but he is definitely like soft jazz, soft pop. By the 1980s, he's getting into like soft rock. So very underrated Canadian musician. This one's on A&M Records and won this award in 1976. Oh, spoiler alert, he also lost a few, and so he'll be featured in a few videos coming forward. Now, this next member of the Juno Hall of Fame here, so to speak, member of Bachman Turner Overdrive, or not Bachman Turner Overdrive, sorry, member of the Guess Who, and that would be none other than Burton Cummings. I'm going to be featuring My Own Way to Rock, which is a great album from it's not going to tell me here, late 1970s. Anyway, My Own Way to Rock. The first time I ever saw Burton Cummings, I did see him live, but it wasn't at a concert. I used to go to original Winnipeg Jet hockey games. Been to a few. I think I went to 3 when I was younger. My dad took me to a few, and he used to do the keyboard and play O Canada on the ice before Winnipeg Jet games. Fantastic singer from a fantastic time period, and an awesome member of the Guess Who. So yeah, this is as a solo artist once again, number 1 artist of the year from the Juno Awards late 1970s. Speaking of soft rock, I have featured this gentleman on my channel in a few other videos, but you have to like soft rock to like this. And in fact, he actually came forward after this album was released, after he won his Juno Award, and he said that he felt that this was kind of an albatross album for him, almost as if he couldn't get his feet going further, that he was always going to be known for these songs. And that is Dan Hill and his album Longer Fuse. This features the song Sometimes When We Touch, featuring, I think her name is Rhonda Shepherd. Yes, Rhonda Shepherd. But Sometimes When We Touch was the big single off of this. Also made it in the United States, but it was all over the RPM tracks here in Canada. And so, yeah, he felt that the inner gatefold is just the lyrics. But yeah, he felt that this was going to ruin his career, basically, that he was going to be stuck doing the soft rock stuff, soft pop, which he kind of pretty much did. But then in the 1980s, when he released there was a self-titled album that he did, and it had a slew of other Canadian hits that went big across the country. So I cannot remember for the life of me if he won an award for it, but definitely this one here, Longer Fuse, 1978, I believe this was. Yeah, 1978. Juno Award, and this one here is on the GRT. So this album is 1977. He wins the award in 1978. And then two female musicians that basically dominated the entire 1970s in Canada. And in fact, the first one that I'm going to show is the first Canadian female to ever go gold in Canada. And that is Anne Murray. I have shown her multiple times. I think that she is fantastic. One of the big things, unknown fact that many people don't know, is that she sang O Canada at Exhibition Stadium during the first home game of the Toronto Blue Jays back in 1977 against the Chicago White Sox. Back before they played at the Sky Dome and Rogers Center and that kind of thing. This is on Capitol Records. Let's Keep It That Way. So she won, I think it was 4 or 5 awards, Junos, in the 1970s. Of course, Jeanette Reno was one of the first Canadian female musicians in the early 70s from Quebec to be winning the Junos, but she dominated the 1970s. Anne Murray, just great Canadian folky soft music. I believe this has, yeah, Let's Keep It That Way, You Needed Me is on this one. You're a Part of Me. Fantastic music from Anne Murray. So there we go. And then the last album that I'm going to show here is another Canadian female artist that pretty much in Canada dominated the 1970s. And she did go big a little bit in the United States, and that is Joni Mitchell. Now, she didn't win for this particular album. This is the one that has Big Yellow Taxi on it, Ladies of the Canyon, which, once again, Big Yellow Taxi is a great, great song. This also has Woodstock on it, which is another fantastic song. Of course, the title track, Ladies of the Canyon. But in 1976, 1977, she won a Juno for an album that had a song called Coyote, which went big in Canada. So, yeah, Joni Mitchell, this one here is on the Reprise label. What can I say? I mean, she has sung songs about environment. She's done some political songs, a lot of folk songs, kind of a country folk music. And so, you know, she is an icon in this nation. So here we are. I'm at the 13-minute mark. 7 albums from Canadian musicians that won Juno Awards. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you know any of these Canadian musicians? Do you know any of their songs? Do you think that they were deserving of the Juno Awards back in the 1970s? Put them down in the comment section below. As always, I appreciate you stopping by to watch the channel. And until next time, we will see you on the flip side.